What's up, YouTube fam? Another edition of Factoring Expressions. If you don't already, please get out your math notebook. Everything that I write down, I would like you to write down as well. Today, we're going to be talking about factoring expressions. Now, what is a factor of something? Factors are numbers that multiply together to get to another number. So we're thinking factors, we're thinking multiplication. So right off the bat, let's think about some factors of 18. And I like to do it in pairs. So what are two numbers that multiply together? Let's see if we can get focused here. What are two numbers that multiply together to get to 18? I invite you to pause the video and write down as many pairs as you can think of that get you to 18. The factors of 18 are 1 and 18. Order doesn't matter here, so you can do it all over the place. 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. So all these pairings multiply to 18. So 1 times 18 is 18, 2 times 9 is 18, 3 times 6 is 18. So these are all factors of 18. Okay, so we're going to start thinking about those numbers with this activity. How about 36? I invite you to pause the video and come up with as many different pairs of factors that get you to 36. I'm thinking 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. A lot of factors for 36. So all those pairings are factors that multiply together to get you to 36, okay? So that's kind of the context as to what a factor is. We are going to start to factor expressions, which is basically going to be the opposite of using the distributive property. Distributive property is multiplying out what's in the parentheses, and when we're factoring expressions, we're actually going to divide out a certain number. So distributive property is multiplying out, factoring is dividing out, the opposite. Okay, so let's start with 2a plus 10. We want to factor this expression. The first step is to find the greatest common factor of each of these terms. And we're just looking at the coefficient here. So first of all, we need to list out the factors of 2 and list out the factors of 10. And then we're going to find one that's in common and find the biggest one. So my only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. And for 10, I can have 1 and 10. 1 times 10 is 10. And 2 and 5 is also 10. So my greatest common factor of 2 and 10, well, the only one that I have in common, I have 1 in common, but that's not going to help us. That's not the greatest common. We're going to use 2 as our greatest common factor. After we find the common factor, we're going to divide each term by the greatest common factor, GCF. Okay, so we have a little, okay. All right, that worked. So let me grab another pen here. So we got 2a plus 10, and we're going to divide each of these terms by our greatest common factor, which in this case is 2. That 2 is going to become the outside term when we eventually distribute. So we're going to set up a parentheses problem with 2, our greatest common factor being on the outside. Well, what is going to be this term after I divide 2 out? Well, the 2's drop out here, and that just leaves me with A. Plus 10 divided by 2, that's 5, so my 5 is going to go in there. And this is the factored form of our expression. We've factored out the greatest common factor, and we've put that greatest common factor on the outside of the parentheses. You can check yourself with these type of problems by then doing the distributive property, 2 times A and 2 times 5, and you should get back to the original problem, 2A plus 10, which is what we would get if we did distribute that out. Okay, let's do another one. 4x plus 28. First thing we need to do is find the greatest common factor between the 2 terms. My factors of 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. 28, I can do 1 and 28, 2 and 14, and 4 and 7. Yes. So we've got a couple factors in common. 1's in common, 2's in common, but I want the biggest one that's in common. In this case, it's going to be 4. So 4 is my greatest common factor, and then we're going to divide each term by that greatest common factor. 4x plus 28 . I'm going to divide by the greatest common factor. That greatest common factor is going to become the outside in my parentheses here. 4x divided by 4, where our 4's just drop out, leaving me with x, plus 28 divided by 4 is 7. There's my factored form of 4x plus 28 is 4 parentheses x plus 7. One more. 6y plus 9. Listing out the factors of each term, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. For 9, 1 and 9, 3 and 3. My greatest common factor is 3. So that's when I'm going to divide out. Six y plus 9, dividing by that greatest common factor 3. That greatest common factor 3 becomes the outside of my parentheses, and now I just divide that out. 6 divided by 3 is 2, so my new coefficient is 2y. 6 divided by 3 is 2, plus 3 divided by 3 is 3. There's my factored form of 6y plus 9. Again, if I use distributive property, the opposite operation here, I'm going to get back to 6y plus 9. 3 times 2y is 6y, 3 times 3 is 9. Cool, I'm gonna write out some practice problems for you guys to do on your own, and we'll go over them in class tomorrow. I want 7x plus 49, 10y plus 2, 15z plus 30, and 4z plus 12y plus 20x. You do the same process for this. You find the factors of all 3 of these and find the greatest common factor and divide each term by that greatest common factor. Okay, so feel free to pause the video here, get these down, work them out, and we'll go over them tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.